Femi, before you can come out and you want to contest for an office, there's a provision presently going on for us to run for public offices independently, but there has to be reorientation in the society. Sorry to say this, not every youth is qualified to run.
How do you know who's qualified not to run? I mean, all the youths came out saying, I'm not too young to run, so literally they're inclined to think
we have youth with pedigrees.
How do you determine that?
If you want to determine a youth that has a pedigree, you go into his profile. What has he not achieved within a certain period of time?
But you know we have missing profiles or missing portfolios for a lot of young people.
If you're missing portfolio for young people, the grassroots have your portfolio at the beckon of their hand. Where are you from, Femi? You should start from your community. Who are you in your community? Do you have the charisma? Do you have the integrity? Do you have the courage? Do you have the humor to run for office? If you have those qualities, Femi, I can go way out to campaign for you and vote into office.
But that also, flipping those same qualities around, it also means that anybody who is thinking about committing to a particular person would also say, is it from the majority, is it from the minority part of River State? Don't you think that could also serve as the bane of this very grassroots profile for a young person?
We're not talking about majority and minority here.
Because we have segregation thinking still going on.
We have segregation thinking, but I think the Nigerian youth have come of age. The segregation issue has kept where we are today in Nigeria. So we have to do with that. We're not talking about politics here. So we're not talking about political party here. We are not talking about the individual who is in question. So if you have integrity, if you have the pedigree that is required, then I think running for office shouldn't be a problem. Because if you talk about the resources, there was a scenario where a youth was seeking for political office in Lagos State. He didn't have the resources, but he had the support of his constituent. They came together, they supported his cause with the finances. It's not about you having money or not, but if your communities think you're the right person for them, they'll go all the way out to support you, even with their resources, and mobilize the constituent to vote into office. We are talking about who are you in your community.
We've seen a situation in Nigeria where something has a national life and then it's the reality of it. The reality of it flows away completely when it comes to states level. What do I mean? For example, in all ideological terms, one would say the Federation Accounts, Federation Allocation Committee, FAC essentially, they allocate money to local governments on paper every month, but we do know the custodian of the funds every month as well is the governor of the state. Now, for a bill such as the Not Too Young to Run bill, that national level seems to have its own level of prestige, going down to the states level, despite the fact that the senators may say to themselves, for anybody can run to become a senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria who is young, it's going to be a far-fetched call because we are like in a tight caucus. As the House of Representatives, before anybody can say he wants to run, he has a lot of ground to cover. So it's almost like this is my hold until I bless this particular person. But for the state assemblies, where it's the cluster or the demographic of people within that needs to vote to them or vote for them are closer and smaller than at the national level, don't you think the Not Too Young to Run bill at national level, when it gets to the states level, despite the word service or service of words of commitment being given by the states reps, don't you think it will face its own set of challenge for selfish reasons of people who already are sitting tight, hopefully getting the seatbelts on for that same seat?
On the issue of the Not Young to Run on the state level, I want to first of all encourage Yaga with launching of the Hall of Fame. I think there's a strategy we need to use, even in the state level. They have launched it here at the national. We're also going to launch it at the state level as a strategy. Fine, they've done the bits, it's going down to the state level. It's the process.
But do you think that's good enough for just, for politicians? Politicians are often in front of newspapers over and over again. Doesn't really matter to them whether it's the Hall of Fame or Hall of Shame. Do you think that's good enough to entice them over?
With what is happening today, with the globalization of the world today, I think it will. Ask me why, because it's about their integrity now. we have to hold them accountable to whatever they have said. And how do we do that? We need to watch out to them very closely for future references, because after now, they're still going to write for maybe political offices in future. We can stand on our grounds and, okay, you did this when it's not your turn to on the floor of the house. We can bring you back again because you're going to disappoint us. They are our representative. We are the constituent that gave them the mandate to be there. So this is our demand. Over millions of Rivers youth are in support of the bill. So if in River State the youth are saying yes to the bill, they don't have any option. Okay. Fine, it's the right, but it's a duty to actually put it in place.
Talk about duties. We have often seen a situation where the State House of Assembly is just an extension of the executive at the state level. The governor tells, I mean, for example, when you hear the governor of Ekiti State, Ayodele Fauci, say, if you guys don't pass this my budget, I would go ahead and pass it myself. One would want to wonder, because I know of River State being a PDP's hold state under the leadership of Nyesom Wike, the governor there, don't you think his endorsement or lack of endorsement of the Not Too Young to Run bill could go a long way to determine how they will vote? What is his position?
Presently, he's the youth-friendly governor. He has supported the Not Too Young to Run bill. With his backing and the River State House of Assembly backing, I think it's the plus for us in River State. That's what I was going to say about that.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Well, you're still listening to Democracy Now! This morning we have Chiefson Nwaiwu, who is the coordinator of the Not Too Young to Run bill for the group in River State. And it has been reviewing and talking about the movement they've been opportuned to have in River State and how they are sure of the commitment even of their own state assembly representatives to get this action done and to get this done as quick as possible for them in River State. And the conversation is really much about the response, expected response. This is going to take some time. Now, the Not Too Young to Run bill, of course, is one of the bills that is expected to continue to receive review from lawmakers. Having received a go from the senators yesterday, the House of Representatives at the national level is expected to follow suit today and not miss out on the state level, where it's the same purpose or idea is expected to as well to go through for that. And we're looking at some of the theatrics that may work or not work in getting this done to a large extent. Okay, so I'm just going to come back to you for a moment now. We are so certain of the national response because a few days ago, Tuesday, we did see the Not Too Young to Run campaign take a new thread of life, where a lot of young people did come out and did stay at the gate of the National Assembly, demanding to speak to the Speaker, Yakubu Dogara, alongside with the Senate President, Dr. Bukola Saraki. They had to send representatives, each two from the senators, two from the reps, in order to speak to the Nigerian youth as regards their stand, and they practically gave their word on how things would go. Now, that's at the national level. What are the strategies you have been reviewing at the state level? When they say in Nigeria, by the way, this is not proper English because I checked a few days ago. Okay. In case of encasement, I checked the encasement just a few days ago. In case of encasement, like we say in Nigerian English, what's your strategy towards standing your ground, moving your ground, reviewing your ground, or maybe even relinquishing your ground?
At the state level.
In the state level.
Okay. Before the campaign kicked off in River State, we had an advocacy visit to the floor of the River State House of Assembly, and that was granted to us. The leader of the House of Assembly, Honorable Martin Samehule, is already ambassador of the bill because the team in River State had to seek his opinion on it, and he bought it. For such, he's a crusader of the bill. Apparently, because if we have him on ground as the leader of the house, it's another plus to us. After the leader of the house, he was even the one that took us to the Speaker of the House, Honorable Ikoni Bani, who also endorsed the bill. So having the principal officers and ESCOs being ambassadors of the bill is a plus.
Okay, because I have to say this because Even at the national level, there were ambassadors within the Senate and
Accepted.
and the House of Representatives. But that almost also did see a setback from the weekend holiday where somebody decided to forget the paper where the bill was supposed to be, or selectively left it out from that discussion, and that created some sense of panic. Despite the fact that you have these ambassadors, do you have state strategies ready to use?
Mr. Femi, I want to ask you a question before I answer that. Can I go ahead, please?
Yes, please.
Why would you be against the multi-term bill?
You'll be surprised. I could come up with 5 reasons why any typical politician would go. He's not being responsive. He's not being performing. He feels, oh, this is an entitlement position. He feels the resources will go away, and he feels youths don't even have common sense to run their position. That's fine.
Okay, I heard about that. First of all, in Rivers State, we had the National Day of Action, which we had on the March 30th, and the march took us to the Rivers State House of Assembly in pursuit of our demand. Initially, Mr. Femi, before the march, we were with the leadership of the House. They were like, we were in support of this. There's no need for us to come again for the march. We said no. We have to make the whole nation and the world know that Rivers State has said yes to this bill. If that is me, however, a press release will be done soonest, where the members of the Rivers State Assembly will be invited to come and put the word before the bill comes to the floor of the House that they are in support. From there, we can know who and who we're supposed to go and reach out for and not to reach out for. Because as the media house is concerned, it's a very vital tool in this cause. If the media is out there with the press release and telling the whole world that the Rivers State Assembly members are fully in support of it, they will be scared not to say no to the bill.